Я приветствую всех, кто только что к нам присоединился.
Welcome back, everyone. We continue our journey in the world of artificial intelligence. And now let's talk about what we should do to develop research and science in AI and how we can accelerate new AI developments. What are the components of success there? Is it qualification, skills and talent? Is it support from external institutions and organizations and investment? Or is it the infrastructure? We're going to start our discussion with national AI research centers about acceleration of AI research. I hope we'll be able to work out a solution. And now I give the floor to the moderator of the discussion, Candidate of Sciences, Vice President and Director of Research and Innovation Department at Sber, Albert Yefimov. Hello again. When I hear your voice, Anastasia, I know that we have done a lot in AI development because I have very pleasant associations with that voice, which is the voice of Athena. We are going to talk about acceleration of AI research. And to begin this discussion, I would like to recall what Bruno Latour said, a philosopher and sociologist. He said, "Give us a lab and we will turn the world." So maybe we need an AI lab to do that. And actually, this is happening as we speak. The government of the Russian Federation has recently decided to create 6 national AI research centers on the platforms of our leading universities and research institutes. The total budget exceeds 8 billion rubles by 2024. I may be mistaken, but as far as I know, this is the biggest post-Soviet research project in AI. Skoltech joined the project, MIPT, the Higher School of Economics, the University of Innopolis, ITMO, the Ivannikov Institute for System Programming of the Russian Academy of Sciences. The goal there is to develop new solutions to reduce the share of imported components and to advance this area of science. We can actually celebrate the anniversary of our work together today because we have been in close contact for a while now, and now is perhaps a chance for us to recap what we've been doing. But before we do that, our panelists. Dr. Burnaev, Evgeny Burnaev, Doctor of Sciences, Professor at Skoltech, Head of Applied Research at Skoltech, and Head of the AI research team there. He carries on a very important scientific tradition for us. His teacher was Mr. Shiraev, and the teacher of Shiraev was the famous Russian scientist Kolmogorov. 2 big names in this area of research, Turing and Kolmogorov, very similar in their impact on AI. Evgeny has an interesting trait that I would like to mention. At some point in his career, he was involved in designing AI for the Airbus company, which helped the company to cut the costs, the design costs, very dramatically by several-fold. And this is what helped Airbus aircraft to be much safer and faster. Alexandr Bukhanovskii, ITMO University, receiver of numerous awards from the government of the Russian Federation. The Dean of the Year is one of them. Director of a department at ITMO, Head of AGI in Industry Department. Alexander says that he was the youngest Doctor of Sciences at ITMO, and now he's actually a patriarch. He has been the research tutor for 35 graduates. That makes up a big team of researchers. He has a life-critical development, innovation, related to the prediction of floods in St. Petersburg. As far as I know, the floods stopped in your native town once you developed this tool. Dmitriy Gavrilov, MIPT, Director of Computer Sciences Department at MIPT. When I asked Dmitry what is the best way to introduce him and his achievements, he says, just tell them that I established a school of technical vision at MIPT, and I can confirm that we have been collaborating with the institution for autonomous cars purposes. Ramil Kuleev, once again, Innopolis University is represented here. Ramil is responsible for the whole area of AI at the university, and he works on projects from medical images to new materials in AI. Tomorrow we're going to have a big announcement on that topic. Alexey Masyutin, my colleague from HSE, High School of Economics, he used to work at Sberbank. He used to work at a Sberbank department at the university, and he's now leading the research center in AI. He used to be my colleague at Sberbank, and now he is focusing 100% of its time on HSE. As Alexander said, there is a sort of a community and network forming. He is a bridge between the industrial partner, Sberbank, and the academic partner, HSE. Denis Turdakov, Ivannikov Institute for System Programming of the Russian Academy of Sciences, head of AI Research Center there. He received this medal as a young scientist in intelligent analysis of text, and as young as he is, at the age of 27, he became the leader of the relevant department at the Institute of System Programming, and the developer of this tool called Talisman. Great name. Lots of awards from the Russian Academy of Sciences over the past years. So this is it for the introductory part. This dream team of panelists, I would say. There's been this philosopher who says, do not underestimate a group of enthusiasts who can have the tools that help them transform the world. So my first question is for Evgeny. What are the most important achievements of Skoltech, of your research center, over the past year? What is the thing that you take most pride in? Well, artificial intelligence is about data. You collect data. There is this perception that you collect data, you put it into this box, you shove it around, and the result would be an effective tool. Maybe that could happen in the future, and maybe people will learn that that's not exactly how it works. And when you tackle problems, especially in natural sciences, you have to use a priori data. You might have to use data from physics, equations, math models. So at our center, we developed this AI toolkit that combines these concepts to have as an output something that's in the middle there that could help us understand natural science phenomena better, physical phenomena better. And also we have a lot of data in different modalities, in different levels of precision, data from sensors, from drones, etc. That is one more important component there at the center. As I said, we've been developing the AI toolkit, and we already know how to develop and put to practice some of our prototypes. One of the prototypes is assessing physical risks onto the economy of a region or a big industrial project. For example, the secret of permafrost. some of Russia's infrastructure is located in such regions. So due to climate change that has been exacerbated, the combination of physical models and AI can help us forecast the risks better and predict their impact on the economy. Another example, ice forecast. The ice situation based on hydrodynamic models and other types of data. This is something that helps us predict better and put this to practice. Another thing I wanted to underline is that artificial intelligence is not effective per se. It is effective only in combination with other tools, and Evgeny rightly said that we need to open the door to the physical world and use that data. Alexander, what about you? What would you say was the biggest achievement this year? Our center is focused on leveraging AI for industry to reproduce the creative activities of an industry specialist. This year, we launched a series of open library frameworks, which I would say bring to a new level the creativity of so-called blue collars, industry associate research specialists and others. They help us deal with the challenges of automated ML, automated modeling, the hybrid models that Evgeny was talking about, automated data labeling, and even automated design. But most importantly is that they can do this at a level of a good expert, not just any expert, not just any specialist. For example, the industrial framework turned out to be way ahead of 85% of system analysts with industrial benchmarks. Sberbank library for training Bayesian networks achieved a way better result with the ketone of Roslkhozbank. So specialists with basic skills and knowledge are lagging behind such models, and also the models help us cut the time and effort costs. This is a disrupt technology because this allows us to tackle the problems of our industrial partners, and that helps us to do conceptual engineering and process management. Two thoughts. Now I know why your center is called AGI and Industry Center. That is indeed AGI. And also now I know who was ahead of my students from my team at the hackathon with Roslkhozbank. Well, since you were using such robust, such a strong AI, I can see why that happened. Well, a couple of words of about our center. We are at a junction of AI, robotics, and technical vision. So what are the biggest achievements? One of the achievements is that we won as this open tournament in Brazil with our robot. I think that deserves a round of applause. I know that our team can do even better. Before that, we had already won a number of competitions with our robots. We also have innovations in image fusioning, and this is what we do for Skoltech. For instance, we've made good progress there. We have created a system that will allow self-driverless vehicles to navigate an environment, sometimes even without satellite navigation. This is a big step forward, and we will make further steps forward. I can guarantee that. Not all projects are so high profile and significant. Some projects are just fun. Some projects are just a point of attraction. For example, we made our robot dog jump on two hind legs. So this dog can welcome guests while jumping on its hind legs. That's fun, and of course this is based on a lot of technology. Reinforcement learning is one of them. But this is something that we can use to promote AI and to motivate others to join the industry. The example with the dog, you are actually not the only ones who did that, but I think you were the first one in the world, and that's quite impressive. I saw that, and I can confirm this is quite unusual when you have a robot that is supposed to move around on four legs, and now all of a sudden it is jumping on just two legs. Quite impressive. Let's hear from Innopolis University, Ramil. What happened in the first year of your work there? Yes, hello everyone. Our center is primarily working on industry-specific product solutions, so one of the biggest achievements is applied use of AI. We learned to extract information from biomedical texts. Why is that relevant? This will help accelerate development of new medicine. Machine learning, AI in pharmaceutics have been used extensively for a number of years by all the biggest companies, but the source of data, the source of information are still biomedical texts, plus patents, publications, and so on and so forth, and no experts, no matter how skilled you are, can retain all this information in their memory, monitor all this data, and keep track of it. But artificial intelligence can. And as we now know how to trace this new knowledge, we can use this as a useful tool. Our second achievement is video analytics, drones, image recognition, development of different services for monitoring, in forestry, environmental stewardship. We have added a lot more to our toolkit. For example, for Tatneft, one of our industrial partners, we have piloted services for monitoring infrastructure based on object recognition, personal protection equipment, monitoring of oil spills, etc. Another thing I wanted to say is this big achievement of creating the first version of the data analysis platform. Going forward, it will expedite the process of implementing new services with our industry partners and customers. Ramil, by the way, was the first to say this. Product team. AI centers, what is their strength? They work in collaboration with industry consumers, Sberbank, Tatneft, other companies. So they help these industry customers, these big companies, to create a product that is beneficial for the company itself and for society at large. Alexey, Higher School of Economics. Lots and lots of projects, hundreds of people, as far as I know, engaged in your AI center. What do you take pride in? Thank you, Albert. It would probably be more difficult for me to pinpoint specific projects because the portfolio is so big. I would like to talk about three projects that resonate with me personally. We base our projects on specific problems. There is this problem, dyslexia. This is where a person has challenges with reading, usually detected at an early age. This is a very widespread challenge. Roughly 30% of children are diagnosed with dyslexia. And to identify this problem, you need a labor-intensive diagnostic endeavor. And this could be stressful for children. If you don't do it at an early stage, this could then impact the cognitive development of a child. We have developed this software, hardware complex in 10 minutes using games, gamification elements. You could trace eye movement of a child when the child is reading a text, and this way you can pretty accurately identify early signs of dyslexia. The accuracy score is around 91% at the moment, and so the next stage is to use cheaper cameras, not expensive ones. Another achievement is genomics. So this is the same project as the cognitive Turing test, right? The one we discussed recently. So this is a complementary project to the one we're doing with Sber. This is the grand part of it. So another achievement, genomics. The joint achievement of our bioinformatics and the bioinformatics lab and Sber lab. There are certain areas in our DNA that rotate towards the right or towards left. So we have developed this new model, zDNA BERT, and we have experiments proving its accuracy. So the model helps to accurately identify 4 times more the amount of such areas. We have tested the data in the so-called wet labs, and I think this could create a whole new wave of DNA tests. And the third achievement, we have managed to explain the mechanics of enigmatic effects with neural networks, minefields, stroking. In a couple of hours, Dmitriy Gavrilov will tell you more about these achievements. I think we have publications on that topic in this collection of articles, right? Yes, I think so. By the way, about this journal, the researchers presented here at the session, and a lot of researchers employed at Sberbank. Especially for AI Journey, we have prepared this collection of articles, research papers, the first of a kind in Russian, available in our country, and make sure you collect as many autographs as you can. Denis, over to you. What is your center proud of?
Yes, the Trusted AI Center, this is how it is called, and about the problem that we try to resolve. Now, the previous speakers talked about that. The AI is ubiquitous, and it generates new threats. Since it's a new technology, there might be some specific things that would fail some parts of the system, or there will be a criminal that will try to exploit it. The data can be changed, and humans will not be able to notice that, and the AI system will deliver a totally different result. The computer vision system that is on a harvester, installed on a harvester, and then the harvester decides that the field is not here, it goes up until and through the highway located nearby, and that can cause major accidents, car accidents. And this is a problem that has been triggered just recently, and the center is focusing on the problems like that. This year we started to look at the entire stack of technologies, because the stack of technologies that are used for AI that's quite a huge stack, starting from software, the frameworks, those who work in neural networks, and hence the PyTorch and other technologies are used. We have found quite a lot of vulnerabilities, around 20 vulnerabilities in every solution that can be exploited. We patched it in open source, published it in open source, and at the same time we gathered the trusted versions that include all these patches, and our trusted partners are test driving it on the real products, working products. Thank you very much, Denis. I wanted to go to the essence of our promising and challenging discussion in terms of speeding up the development of AI. There's quite a lot of research on that. US and China are speeding up the technologies for research in AI. You know about that in great detail, and there is no sense to talk about that on AI conference. It's like talking about seawater while being in the ocean. One famous researcher in AI, Gary Marcus, noted that without changing the paradigm in AI, research, we will soon face a deadlock, really. Now, creating AGI, creating the AI that will serve the people, that is great, but can this acceleration, might it lead to some dead end again? If we don't do something radically different, maybe we will reach that dead end. Can you share your experiences and your thoughts about that? By the way, if you have any comments that are not in line with the major part of the discussion, you feel free to do that, because our major goal is to develop the approach in terms of the development of AI, because we need to answer the question, how can we speed up the AI research? You know, this spirals that Alexey, the DNA spirals that Alexey was talking about, because Alexey, I think I'll start with you, because trust is one of the most important topics in this area. Yes, thank you. I think we need to go in two directions, in terms of technology and in terms of talents. In terms of technology, we need to build some frameworks that will combine different things. They will help to implement the AI developments quicker. You know, the models that are developed together with researchers, they should be implemented quickly in the industry. So Russia is of critical importance, because the implementation, the integration is on top of the agenda, really, in terms of understanding whether it is applicable or not and what are the problems of its application. So you need to understand that it will actually work and what will be the environment, the conditions under which it will work. That's the first part. The second part that I want to talk about is the talent development, the university courses. And I'm not only talking about the centers that have been created in large cities like Moscow, St. Petersburg and Kazan, but this should be rolled out across the country, because there are some very promising teams in the regions. You know, just some people, some experts together and create some great solutions, and they should be included in our efforts, and that will resolve the issue of the lack of talent. Alexey, can you add to that? Yeah, I think that I would be a bit more provocative, and I would say that in terms of the researchers and the development and research of AI, we are pretty good. But as for the industrial implementation, that is a problem. Without getting the feedback from the industry in terms of what actually works and what does not work, you know, something that was developed and researched in the labs, without that, nothing will work. Are you happy with Sber feedback? I would say that Sber is one of the best partners we've worked with. Yes, and it's great that you received such a feedback from us, because we know it's very important. Yeah, and I think the solution is more of a management solution, management-related solution, because we need the offer and demand to meet. Because right now the industrial partners, we work with them, but everything is done case by case on an ad hoc basis. The Rosneft created a league of universities these universities will be able to resolve the R&D related tasks of this corporation. They will be alerted if there is a new task, and they will be able to work on that. And I think that the demand should be resolved, the demand issue should be resolved, and there should be feedback, and everyone should be working together. Yeah, Ramil, anything to add? Yeah, I might be obvious. I will add to the inputs of the previous speakers. I agree with Alexey. We're talking about some very lofty things, but when we go to the companies, we see that they're not ready, because there's a lack of data. What are you lacking exactly? We're talking about ML, first of all, when we talk about AI. We lack data to train models. That's the first thing. The data that we have are not of high quality or simply missing. and obviously there is a lack of understanding in terms how to apply it. Secondly is, this management things. We understand that to develop technologies we need talent, we need the resources. It would be great for the research centers to appear in the regions, and we are ready to work with our colleagues and our partners to deliver these excellent centers there, because there is a high contrast. There are some teams with enough computer resources. There are some regional centers with motivated and great teams, but they don't have the computing resources. Those who have cloud access should share the access with these teams, and I think the demand for AI should be encouraged. Like how? Well, there was a COVID pandemic, and it showed, last year and the year before that, the storage technologies were very actively improved. Biotechnology, quantum technologies, and other technologies that are based on AI, if they are developed, it will drive the development of the AI in general. Well, I would like to add that the stakeholders are not always ready, because there is this understanding that AI will come and will resolve everything. We need to raise the awareness among the mid-top level management that it is not a silver bullet, really. I'm talking about the management. You know that Sber started its AI journey with a very detailed technical course on AI applications among the top management team. One of the top managers of Sberbank said that yes, he was coding using Python to develop a solution that will recognize the dog faces, and so that was pretty technical. Evgeny, since you took the lead right now, maybe you will add something? Yeah, I mean, we were talking about the speeding up. You can't speed up across all the areas, because you will span the resources too thinly, spread the resources too thinly. You should prioritize. If you select some challenging production or scientific tasks and areas, like healthcare, for example, and if you understand what a technology should be able to deliver, what will be the outcome. At the same time, this technology would require some fundamental research, but if you prioritize it, you can speed it up. There should be a center, there should be a team, a strong team, and they should understand that they can develop, they can work on that without putting their mind to other tasks. And this team should work specifically on this outcome. And it should have a dedicated team that would only work on fundamental research. And this is the way to do things to have some fundamental results. Because people should understand that they have some position, that they are, and that they can work on something meaningful for them. Well, that's a bit, it's like a Soviet scientific standard, research standard. I would not agree with that, because in this slit-throat competition, you need to develop a solution that actually works, and that's a totally different motivation. Vice president on R&D of one of the largest global companies that I talked with recently, he said that what's the most important thing in R&D? If you build some relations with some people, and it's great, and in 10 years they will come to you again, and you will already have some established relationships. This stability is important in R&D. Yeah, it should not be like a quagmire, really, that would be stable but not agile. Yeah, it's great to listen to your input because you represent, this kind of Kolmakov school, and it's very famous. So your insights are very great. Could you add something? Well, first of all, the training of the talent. Let's go back to 8 years, 5 years, 3 years back. Look at the number of hackathons that Sber organizes and many more companies. We lack them drastically. The number used to be much lower than that. We need to increase the number of hackathons and other events like that. And we need to roll it out across the country. And if we do that, we'll be able to go with a proper speed, with a proper pace. What else can we do? The partners, some corporate partners, they are afraid to lose their jobs sometimes. So it's not that they do not trust, they actually fear some of the solutions. Awareness-raising campaigns, they actually help. These campaigns should focus on the fact that people should do some more intellectually challenging tasks. The regulation is also very important. These data should be provided, and that should be done in accordance with some regulation. And this is the problem faced by some of the clients that we have. Another problem is how do you integrate the AI that makes a decision in the human stack, so to speak? Who is going to take blame if a driverless car crashes into a scooter driver? Who is to blame? Yeah, well, that's a kind of an ethics of AI, and the center that Denis heads from the Programming Institute is doing a great work in to this end, and that's very important. Alexandra, I thought that you wanted to contradict that. No, not at all, because all of the previous speakers talked about the emergency measures that we need to take. What about the long-term treatment? Well, the long-term treatment is that we await yet another winter of AI, and that's not a secret, that's an open secret, and the current paradigm of AI development will soon be depleted. We need to move to a new paradigm. We can use the combination of the knowledge from other industries and areas of knowledge, and it will give the impetus for further development. Let's look on AI in industry and manufacturing. There are not only solutions that detect whether you wear a cask or not, but there are some other solutions that predict the following. For example, how can you replace a unique talent that can set up digital twins for some profiles? You will not be able to gather all these 10,000 digital twins to train the systems, but for a number of models, that became possible. At the same time, AI is needed not only to help to understand how to create these equations, but it should help to prove that there is a solution. And we need to understand how to constructively move to that solution. And thanks to this logic and thanks to other areas, we will not freeze to death during this AI winter. Yeah, we have actually confirmed that if we have some applications with real value, we will have results. Well, there are actually like 3 directions that, according to which we were talking about. I would like to, focus on that. The first direction was formulated by one of my colleagues. He said we need more cloud compute power, more data sets, more resources, and we will work on everything. The other direction is that we need more hackathons, more talents, and hackathons where we are going to headhunt the talents. And the third direction, the third area is, as Alexander said, that the current paradigm has been depleted in a way. We need to find a new paradigm, but we should not migrate from the platform that we're using right now, because the current platform is something we're accustomed to. We have a good foundation here. And another thing that Alexander talked about is that we should not go along all the areas. We should have some special task force in research that will research in selected areas. You know, this is a kind of a scientific special task force that should resolve very specific tasks in very specific areas. Another question that I have is that we can speed up ourselves. You know, as in this commercial, you cannot change your mother-in-law, but you can change yourself. We can speed up others. Though Vladimir Savelyev, a sci-fi author, a position, a job in the universe. You know, there is a kind of a ball that comes to Earth, and it speeds up the time. If you are in this ball, you can make researches with 1,000 time difference. You can write a dissertation in 2 days. You can increase the research in physics, biology, and other things. And all the researchers went to this ball to research because there was a place for everyone there. And I think that AGI is this kind of a ball that speeds up the time. We cannot speed up ourselves that quickly, but what can we speed up? What research can we speed up fundamentally using AI? Evgeny, well, I would look at that from the organizational point of view, from the organizational paradigm. We talk about the speeding up the AI-based research in Russia, right? Yes, well, first of all, this is about management, related to the fact that there should be some open venues where that will show who is an expert and who is not an expert. Moreover, some solutions that we're talking about, they are not really realistic, and they help to understand what is what, really, what works and what does not. Another thing is that we should not go in all directions. We should prioritize the directions where we can be leaders, and it is of critical importance to, you know, the major challenge, the major danger is to be mediocre. You know, maybe resolving some simple engineering tasks. That's the thing, but that's not what we want. The special elite forces, you know, special task forces that would work on very advanced fields, this is something we should do. If you will go back to history, our mechanical and mathematical school was educating mathematicians, and you know, from a lot, and they actually helped to raise rock stars in maths from all the thousands of those who were studying there. And it will be great to create these teams that would, you know, lead the way and pave the way in all the fundamental things.
Speaking of tech research, it is very important here to make sure that certain things are brought to a high degree of readiness, and then we move on to implementation, to deployment. If the problem is sophisticated, for example, in healthcare, the processing of MRI scans, in terms of data structure, this is a very complex signal with time series, with graphs, lots and lots of mathematical objects, and to study this kind of MRI data, you need to engage fundamental mathematicians who can work with non-trivial areas, such as typology. We're going to try to restate my question in a more simple, straightforward way. When will AI get the Fields Prize? do you think? I'm not sure I have the answer for that. Okay, well, I've asked the question. Let's put a pin on it, and maybe next year at the next AI journey we will find the answer. Alexander, what do you think about AI acceleration? Yevgeny talked about the acceleration of ourselves more. That's important. Yes, of course that's important. But I wanted to talk about AI as a way to accelerate everything else, because this is none other but the fourth generation of e-science systems, electronic science, when AI fully transforms the way we retrieve knowledge from new data. This is not just regression problems based on data. There are ways to build new fundamental laws based on these data. The most positive thing here happens for mathematicians, first and foremost. Wait. But when is AI going to get the Fields Prize, do you think? I don't think it needs a prize when our students use HTML and hackathons. They can be disqualified for doping, quote unquote. The Fields Prize is for people. Let's leave it at that. Yes, but people keep playing chess, even though AI, as we now know, is the best at chess. So you think when AI gets the Fields Prize, people will stop doing math? No, I don't think so. So I don't think this question is relevant. It's too provocative. No, we philosophers, we like to ask such questions. Yes, I just wanted to say one more thing, a nuance. The special task force. You cannot apply a special task force across the board, because a special task force is comprised of unique experts. And this begs the question of democratization. This is what e-science provides a solution. What is the way for specialists to apply things that AI experts are doing? 3 basic technology: automated machine learning, various block authors, different generations, and low-code, no-code. So this gives rise to different platforms. We have our own platform. The Innopolis University has a platform. So this could be a toolkit for all kinds of specialists. You're shooting yourselves in the foot, I think, because the way you're describing it, 10 years from now, there will be no AI research centers. Every institute, every company will be its own AI research center. No, but there is the hurdle theorem. We will simply get to a next level. That's what I'm saying. AI will permeate absolutely everything. So everything will be AI-based. Right, and we will have a new tech state of the globe, and this is what we're aspiring for. Okay, other thoughts? I agree with Yevgeny and Alexander. I just wanted to narrow the focus a little bit. I think we need to completely remove routine tasks from industry to free up the resource in order to reallocate the resources to more sophisticated tasks. Things we started with, sorting tasks, sorting out defected grains or crops from an assembly line. Then there are more complicated tasks, when a system of AI can tweak around with different buttons and controls to work out a solution to a more sophisticated problem. But where is this AI? What role does it play then? It's just a regulator? No? No, I don't think so. It's not just a regulator. It has a lot of parameters. And sometimes you cannot do simply with regulation. But it's great the way you're saying this. It is already associated with a simple regulator, and I hope going forward we will have more and more complex systems that will be a simple regulator, while people could focus on something more sophisticated. Great, a red button of sorts. We're in AIRI talked about this, and Joseph Weizenbaum also comes to mind. He said that in everything that people do in relation to AI, everything should have a red button by default. Maybe you could go back to that thought. I also thought about Tesla theorem. AI is something that hasn't been created yet. So once we create it, in some way it stops being AI, if you know what I mean. Ramil, what do you think about it? What could be the biggest benefit of AI? The most highly potential area? Interdisciplinary areas, I think. As our experience shows, I am talking about approaches to understanding physics through AI, not just through physical laws or experiments. The basic problem, the property structure. We know the structure of material, and based on that we look for properties, or the reverse, even more interesting, when we can predict the structure of a material based on the known properties. The topic has already been announced today, and I know that we will return to that topic. We will continue focusing on it. We have been focusing on it. Last year, we discussed precisely that with Konstantin Novoselov. You know what he said about the Nobel Prize for AI? What did he say? He thought for a second and then said, unlikely. You were talking about the Fields Prize. Oh, yes. Exactly. And interestingly, Stanislav Smirnov said that AI will get a prize. So new materials and adjacent areas, that could be interesting. Industry, oil and gas, metallurgy, pharmaceutics, bioindustry, all these areas where there are problems with developing, designing new solutions, customizable solutions. A lot of potential in this area. Predicting product properties, optimization of technical parameters in production. Look at the global experience in industry. There's a huge boom going on, and I'm sure Russia is going to catch up. And one more thing I wanted to underline, something that I think is going to have a huge impact on us. AI as a tool that helps software developers. This year, at the platform of Innopolis, a school was established, and our center is very much involved. This is the school for developing precisely that toolkit. AI that helps you look for bugs, and as the cherry on top, auto-generate code, auto-generate documentation, tests. I think that would help hundreds of thousands of developers. I'd like to respond to that last thing you said. The thing is that AI, which helps software developers and programmers, it needs to be trained based on programs. Then who will be the owner of the intellectual property? I think there's been this precedent with a court case against Google. Right, we have been discussing it on the sidelines. This is a legal issue, a pertinent issue, and we will have to tackle it. I'm not a lawyer, but I think in corporations you can simply draw up an agreement. Everything that your coder does belongs to the organization. Right, but can you do that for the entire GitHub? Well, that's a question. One of the options could be using openly available code. There's been this recent case with network scoring. I think that belongs to the same discussion, part of the discussion. The HSE AI Center, I know, has been helping us with similar developments for software developers very closely related to NLP, a very important aspect. This is not a replacement of coders, of course. We understand that. This is tremendous acceleration of their work. It gives you two things. If you're a programmer, it frees you up from routine tasks, and it helps you avoid cybersecurity mistakes. Alexey, your thoughts? I wanted to say a few words about this opposition of AI and an expert, an AI that could potentially get a Nobel Prize or a Fields Prize. I think the promise here is to create an AI as a researcher assistant, an AI that helps develop software. That's great. And I also see this big demand for a trend where AI helps, discover new laws, discover new algorithms. A case from earlier this year, Alpha Tensor model. What is that model? This is a model that helped identify a more efficient way to multiply matrices. Lots of algorithms, most of algorithms are based on it. So there's been this RL approach to multiplying matrices, more effective than traditional approaches that existed for decades. This is a huge breakthrough, and I expect even more breakthroughs in genomics in particular. I also have this example from another area. AI helps with everything, but nothing helps AI. What is an area of science that could help AI to move forward? Natural intelligence. Natural intelligence, you say, so cognitive sciences. Right, I think that rings true. We could find analogies, equivalents, but at some point we once again might come to a dead end. Project Pinrose thinks that we have a quantum brain, and there you have it. Nothing else you can do about it. Denis, how do you think we can accelerate? Well, the term AI. What was the definition of AI earlier? There was an expert that coded his or her knowledge as an algorithm, and the system was trained based on that algorithm and started playing chess, started working as a chatbot, and now we are drifting towards machine learning. This is where we have examples, and an algorithm is devised based on analogy. A model that tackles similar tasks. But then you have this problem. How do you explain what the model learned? The problem of interpretability, of explainability. I think if we solve that problem, we could greatly accelerate AI development, because you could train by analogy, you could build a model, and if you know how it is built, what is inside of it, you could get a drastically new approach to explaining how the world works. I've recently come across this article describing how people built a new physical model of the world based on analogies, explaining laws differently. So that was different from what the majority of existing schools were doing. So that explainability, I think, is a fundamental problem. How do you connect all that? You have a model. If it's not relying on any of our previous knowledge, what do you do with it? If we invest in explainability, I think we could discover a lot of useful things for other applications in chemistry, in material science, in biology, etc. So there are different things. They are different, they are dissimilar. Some talk about interdisciplinarity, transdisciplinarity. But the thing that we always go back to is application in different industries, in different areas. That's where we can identify big points of growth. Maybe we could go back once again to the term of AI. The Dartmouth seminar, where over a single summer, people set this ambitious goal to resolve anything related to artificial intelligence. So, since then, 65 years have transpired. And And if you go back even further, the Leibniz ratio machine, well, you could call it an AI, maybe. Or maybe you could go back even further, Plato's discussions of a machine-readable law. That's his idea, 2,500 years ago. So these ideas that we could rationalize our thought process, our cognition, we could express it as algorithms, as symbols. This idea is hundreds and hundreds of years old. And only now do we have the technology, the silicon, to at least approach to solving that huge challenge. We have also talked about priorities. On many occasions, we have mentioned this phrase, special task force. So priorities, of course, we cannot accelerate across the board. A lot of attractive ideas, attractive goals. We cannot do everything at once. Russia is a great country, but there's not that many of us. Us, I mean AI research centers, experts. It's true that we can transform the world, but not at once. Not all parts of the world at once. Let's start with Denis. Can you pinpoint one or two most important, top priority research areas where you will tell your team, go there, write publications in that area, pilot projects, create startups in those areas? What are these areas? The obvious answer for me is trusted AI, the topic that emerged 5 or so years ago. What if you have an abuser, an attacker? How do you make your algorithms attack-proof and abuse-proof? How can you apply this in practice safely, securely? And that, of course, gives rise to this problem of ethics. What if? What if something happens? What do we do about it? So that, I think, is the priority area. And one more thing I wanted to say, following up on what Evgeny said, math is the key problem. We know very little, in fact, or at least there are no mathematical explanations or confirmations of how it works. A lot of assumptions are just hanging out there with no mathematical framework around it. We can confirm maybe some lower boundaries and limits. Sorry for interrupting. Do you think that maybe AI is this colossus standing on clay legs? Maybe. It seems so. Does it seem so, or is that so, in fact? It's hard to say. It works. There are applications based on AI where AI is pretty effective. There are areas where it is being deployed, but it's not exactly 100% safe, and this is where we need to apply our efforts. Twice differentiated function with excellent delta. You just need to understand the tools. As someone who has worked on projects with live criticism, I very well know the difference between cat image recognition and the commission of a project that could kill someone, potentially. Two absolutely different worlds. An area that requires a lot of attention and thought. As Evgeny said, seems is not the word to be operative in research. What do you think, Evgeny?
Now, you have started that part of the conversation with the fact that everything new is everything old that we have forgotten. You know, Gauss, several hundreds of years ago, thought about the non-linear regression. Now we have a better mathematical models. And talking about the priority that I wanted to highlight, it's something that we have forgotten as well. It's about a concept, really. First of all, we're talking about the monitoring that is automated on a national level. We have a very big country that is not, and parts of the country are not very well connected with each other. So this monitoring, this regional monitoring with some anomalies, with the specification on some anomalies or some properties, it would be a very important aspect. Edge cases, right? Is that it? Yeah, because it's related to climate, to some climate emergencies like the fires, the floods and other things. And also these are the other forecasting problems. You know, the forecasting of the ice situation with ice is a very complex issue that we need to install the sensors and then collect and store the data, as well as upload it automatically and calculate everything based on this data. And you need AI for that. So this is one priority. Second priority in terms of the fundamental issues and the things that we actually need, critically need, because and this is healthcare. I mean, it will be life-saving on the one hand, and secondly, we have some results, and this will lead and pave the way for some fundamental mathematical discoveries. Okay, what do you think? I think that hybrid AI is something that was forgotten, but is now emerging again. You know, it's not the on the one hand, it's like the situation. It's not a situation when the computer computed something. We have to trust it. It is a system where humans and AI are partners. They correct each other. They learn together, and they use two pairs of hands to resolve the challenges. And these are more resultative compared with the classical AIs, because we use our cognitive potential. And you know, the words of Alexey is that this can be a system, a workable system. I'm sorry, Stanislav Lem was talking about that. He was talking about the amplifier of intelligence. Is it that? Might be, but I mean, one thing that it's when the sci-fi it's one thing when the sci-fi authors talk about that, but the other thing is when you actually start to implement it. You know, the grass cutter is a film that we all watched, but we have not achieved that. It was produced a while ago. Yeah, but you know, sometimes when we talk about highly skilled, highly competent person who is kind and fair, that's great. But when we are going to amplify the intellect of someone dumb and aggressive and angry and evil, well, if we use AI to rehabilitate intellectual functions, that will yield positive results, because it can replace some of the elements of the intellect that is lacking and reinforce the intelligence. When we talk about morale and the fairness, integrity, AI will play a good role. But this is about the ethics, really, about the intelligence and ethics. And you cannot resolve this issue. Well, as a philosopher, I can say that without morale, there is no intelligence. Without intelligence, there is no morale. I think these two things are tightly interconnected with each other. But I mean, I understand the answer. I do agree with you completely, because I think that this hybrid character and this digital centaurs that Alexander talked about is the way to go. Dmitry, I would add that the importance of the task, of the hardware-related tasks, are very is something that we need to discuss, because the AI grew in the last decade thanks to the available compute powers, compute capacity. You know, it's like we got GPUs and we started to use the methods that are available for these GPUs. Well, GPU is, yes, that's great, but we will go further. There are different tasks, We are now talking about the higher levels and even higher levels, and there are some capacities that can, the equipment that can compute even quicker. And we're talking about supercomputers in your phones. That will be the future. I think that is very important. Ramil, what are your priorities? Where should we go? I think that we should be able to leverage the potential of what we have. So, yes, first of all, we do need to develop the technologies. There are some iterative tasks, and that's important. But hybrid intelligence, I think that's a great idea. Human intelligence and artificial intelligence have their pros and cons. And we need to create the systems where these two intelligences will complement each other. And the second thing that I want to talk about is about the use of the things that we already have. As the decoders like it. We all say that AI is the cutting through technologies, and you can use AI to recognize dogs and cats, and at the same time use it for medical scans and MRI scans. But at the same time, we can create a cut-through inter-industry information systems. When using the same data, we can resolve applicable tasks for a lot of stakeholders. Let's talk about healthcare. We talked about that before. If we can find the pathology based on the scans, what can we have as a result? It will help the decision-making powers of the doctors. It will help the managers in healthcare to plan the resources on the level of the medical organization. They will also be able to promote their clinic and to manage the doctors. So it will help the managers on a larger scale, on a larger level, to manage the resources, to forecast the diseases that might appear or disappear, and to respond in a timely manner and appropriately. It also helps other tasks, like the insurance plans and the value chains and other things. So by resolving one technology-related task, we can resolve other things, other tasks that are related to that, and that's very important. Hence, since there is a lack of resources. As for the reuse, what do we lack here? Reuse is a very recycling of technologies. Reuse of technology is a very important thing. Yeah, do we need some kind of Hamburg account to be able to, to do that? I mean, in a nutshell, what can we have? It can be a platform or some sharing a venue to exchange models and data and knowledge and other things. So this is an AI Journey conference. Can it serve as such a platform? What we're talking about right now is is the showcase of what you have talked about. And we should always do that. Yeah, absolutely. Alexey, well, in one of your presentations, you said that we need to look for the areas that have potential for disruption, and slit-throat competition between two or more technologies. This is the conditions that we should have. Yeah, I have such an idea. I promoted that. Yeah, I think this is a great idea. The competition, the harsh competition between two technologies. The generative modeling, that's one of the areas, because we talk about the competition of data and the neurodiffusional models. The neurodiffusional models help to get the more realistic objects that are more diverse, but they're very hard on the hardware. They need a lot of hardware resources. So their competition would result in some hybrid solution maybe, and go into AGI. Well, I can have different opinion on this term, but multitasking, multi-model, multi-language model, that's a great way to go. And secondly, training autonomous agents that will be able to interact with the environment and the uncertainty conditions. And recently I saw a publication that puzzled me. The researchers developed an agent called Gato. It's a large NN architecture that was being trained based on large-scale tasks. And this is used a kind of a hybrid approach that will be maybe the next hype, really. We're going, without him, we're going to look at this experience, and hopefully we will use some of these developments in our centers. Okay, any more things to say? Maybe we forgot something to discuss something. Maybe I can sum up our today's panel discussion. Some things that are very important. Now, we talked about talents, working with the young talents, developing the regional centers of AI, and some other formats that we have not mentioned, but that should be done. Maybe building technology startups to drive the youth. And, and we should promote and support the startups. The reuse that Ramil talked about, and the reuse and recycle of the technologies that were mentioned. Sber, Christofari, our cloud solution can be used for academic communities with a very good plan for the academia, have very attractive prices, and this opportunity has not been leveraged. Now, Sberbank has a lot of interest in research in terms of application of AI to analyze the medical texts. In Innopolis, it is widely used as well. We maybe should organize a seminar to exchange the information about that. It's great to see what we do, and in this regard, though, we have some progress. Alexander said that the potential of the current paradigm is going to be depleted soon, and we need to understand how to move to the next platform and move forward. But at the same time, we should remember that we should stand firm on a solid foundation, not on clay legs. That's a great idea, and we should use and exchange the ideas of each other to understand what is actually working, and that's very important. Konstantin Novoselov, in one of his speeches, said that the science can self-heal, self-filter itself. If we have an error, if we have a wrong hypothesis, it is great, it is inevitable. The science will filter itself, and we will progress by doing something new, if I understand correctly. That will be the end of this panel discussion. I'd like to thank all the panelists for this fantastic discussion that launched the first day of AI Journey. Thank you very much, and Anastasia, you have the floor.
I
would like to thank everyone for this great discussion. It will be great to, it is very exciting to listen to you. I am, started to be interested in AI, and I'm confident that many millions of people who view this conference will be motivated to work in AI. And now we have a small break. You can, cuddle your kitty, have a coffee, have some lunch, and in a few minutes we're going to go back to the discussions.